way. The funding, currently from the budget which we've just passed, you realize that the education sector is getting the bulk of the share in as far as the money which was distributed is concerned. So how I wish this money which is going into the education sector be utilized to do the right thing, and it should be distributed equally. Right now, for example, in my constituency, the capitation for the JSS has been sent, but you will find that there are some schools who have not received the funding. For example, a school, GK Makeresa Primary, they have not received any money. The students are in school. So equitable or equity in education, where do we get equity? If this money is released in piecemeals and to other students, others first, others later, that is when equality or equity is lost from the beginning. And that is how other students, other areas start getting marginalized. We normally say education is an equalizer. And if it is an equalizer, there should be equity from the beginning to the end. How I wish even the ministry, the money which the ministry normally uses to develop infrastructure in schools, why can't they take the entire amount of this money to NGCDF, where the implementation will be done fairly? Because that is where equity will be felt. Otherwise, if we have the ministry deciding where the money to be taken by who, or who makes the most noise, or decide who is a friend of who, it becomes problematic. How I wish we could take all this amount to NGCDF, and proper development is going to be felt. Just like now, what the work the office of the NGCDF has done in our schools in Kenya. If you go to every school, you will see a classroom, a building, a dormitory by NGCDF. That shows that it is a success story. Why can't we follow the same and put more money so that the infrastructure in the schools can develop, and that way we are not going to have issues of inequality. Another issue is this business of putting hierarchies in schools. We have extra county, national. We should do away with such and have Kenyan schools where, whichever they are, whether they are in Mandera, whether there is wherever, we should have Kenyan schools, uniformity, so that if it is Alliance, it is Alliance Secondary School. If it is a school in Moiben, for example, Kapkei School, it is Kapkei School, so that our children will start feeling that they are equal, so that when I am putting on uniform of a school in Moiben, another one in Alliance, it is the same, or possibly we could have similar uniforms, so that it is just like the buses. All the buses are yellow, all our uniforms should be the same. The only difference between a student should be the admission number or the index number. That is when we will start thinking about uniformity. So what we should be doing is that we should be supporting this system of education and putting more resources and seeing where things are not working. Otherwise, destroying it or saying it will not be a success, it is like throwing away the baby and the bathwater. But what we should be looking at is seeing, streamlining it and making it a success story. A system cannot just, we can never have a time when we are saying, we are very ready now, let's change the curriculum. It has to be done systematically. Thank you, Madam Speaker. My time is up.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Charles Ngusia, member for Mwingi West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice on this. And because of the interest of time, I will take only 2 minutes. First, congratulations to my colleague Rook for bringing up this motion. Madam Speaker, we all agree that this education sector has really been run with so many individual ideas without lacking proper consultation of stakeholders. For the last 5 years, when I've been in Parliament, we have seen the issues of 100% transition. There's delocalization, then CBC, then JSS. All these issues taking place in just shortest time possible. And Madam Speaker, we all agree that the right idea can actually be a wrong idea if it is not done at the right time, Madam Speaker. I am here to support this motion, and how I wish the honorable member was elected 10 years ago, actually to come up with this proper policy. Coming from our constituency, which is already marginalized in terms of everything, Madam Speaker, we have witnessed this implementation of the JSS system being done in a manner that is not really comforting to our parents. If you look at the number of schools which have been selected to have this JSS, we leave so many without considering the distance our pupil and students are traveling from one school to another. And I am thinking this issue of JSS needs to be actually revised and have it domiciled in all primary schools so that we can shorten the distance our students are facing. Madam Speaker, most of the schools in our country, not even in my constituency alone, lacks proper infrastructure to implement this thing. Some of the schools even don't have laboratories. Some of the schools don't even have adequate teachers. Even the teachers we recruited recently, they have not really been trained to perform this curriculum-based thing, Madam Speaker. I am calling upon, again, we go back to the drawing board, the way honorable members suggested, to come up with proper structured policy to implement this issue. And I could have actually spoken more time, taken more time, but due to the interest of time, Madam Speaker, let me support and urge the honorable member actually to move further and make sure these issues is proposed and are properly implemented by education sector. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last opportunity on this motion will be the member for Mhaya, the Honorable Omboko Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll be very brief also. One, let me begin by congratulating the teachers of Kenya who are toiling with the CBC and junior secondary school with no facilities, and kind of nobody now remembers them and imagines that everything happening in the schools is because of them, while the truth is that there's no money going to schools, and therefore they are unable to get the equipment that they need to use to teach the children of this country. And the real matter lies with the fact that all we need in our schools is funding. The teachers have no problem. In fact, many speakers are speaking about how many chicken are being sent to school, but they forget that sometimes they also invite cow dung to be taken along by the students to schools. Number one, Honorable Speaker, the education system must change with time. And indeed, the system we had for A-level cannot be the one that is working today. The system of 844 has outlived its time because it's a factory manufacturing many students who cannot get employment, and it's theoretical. So the need for change is true and is a reality which you cannot run away. Honorable Speaker, I therefore ask the House that we must embrace the new system of CBC, because that's the modern way to go in the education system. Despite the many challenges it has, it is the correct way to go because it will build skills, it will build technologies, information, and how a person can carry himself around in the society without depending on white-collar employment. But then it has got its challenges. Honorable Speaker, I would wish to say that what we envisaged in the CBC is that every school should be having a full school. What you are calling basic education must begin from ECD to primary, to junior secondary, and even what we are calling secondary. That will be a standard school, Honorable Speaker, that should be equal in the whole country. We are envisaging that this will enable the government fund schools equally, so that the funding of a rural primary and the funding of Mangu is the same, and the provision of education at those levels is actually the same. And that's how education will be an equalizer. I would want to ask this parliament to actually support CBC, because this is what will bring money and development to your small schools and grow them to the level of alliance. There's a danger ahead, which I must point out, and that's why Ruku is right. The ministry imagines that the 2 years that the students are in the junior secondary is too long. But let me caution that 1 year is already gone. In the next year, the children who are in the junior secondary must be leaving the junior secondary to another pathways. Yet there's no policy and pathway of how they will operate. So again, when we finish the next year, we shall be in a crisis of how they'll enter the schooling. It is very important that a policy be made quickly, whereby all the three pathways, and there are three, one of them is called STEM. The STEM one is the science and the one that teaches theory and science and technology. The other one is arts and performing arts. The other one is social sciences. A policy must be made quickly so that by next year, we know that all schools also have these three pathways, so that all schools are equal and they are moving at the same level. Honorable Speaker, as I finish, we must start thinking extraordinary. Remove this kasumba we have in ourselves of boarding schools. The boarding schools must quickly die, and we have standard schools that are equal for every area, every student, and every region. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance.
Thank you very much, Honorable Omboko. Honorable members, you know this is a house of rules, and one of the rules concerns time. So now I call upon the mover to reply. For the honorable members who have expressed interest, several of you, we are going to rely on the magnanimity of the mover. Honorable Ruku.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request Madam Speaker to donate a few minutes, each member 1 minute. I donate 1 minute to Honorable Kasungu, Honorable Stroya, Honorable Emesa, Teso South, Honorable Ndeko, Honorable Victor Mandazi, Honorable Double N, Honorable John Makari, Honorable Daniel Wangwa of Wabuya, and we have only 10 minutes. And Honorable Bensunda, 1 minute each. Then, Madam Speaker, I remain with 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to follow the order. I will start with the Honorable Ameso. Let's try to trace them. If your name has been given, please.
2022, second reading.
Honorable members, the member who is supposed to put that motion is absent, so the motion is deferred. Next order.
Order number 15, the Penal Code Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 56 of 2022, second reading.
The Honorable David Gekaria.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to move this amendment. Honorable Speaker, I come from a constituency that is urban, and my constituency, Honorable Speaker, has quite a number of activities which, of course, my constituents use to put some food on their table. But at the same time, Honorable Speaker, these activities, legal as they are being used by the police all the time to harass innocent Kenyans who are looking for a living, for them to be able to earn a living. Honorable Speaker, My intention is to amend the penal code subsection to remove some very colonial offensive charges which were placed during our colonial times. Honorable Speaker, you understand that the Constitution has given us freedom, the right, that freedom of rights to persons who lives in the country. And one of that is freedom of association and freedom of movement. But at the same time, this penal code, Honorable Speaker, it is being used by police to continuously harass Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, the principal object of the bill is to amend the penal code, Cap 63, by repealing section 182, which proscribes the offenses of idle and disorderly persons. The law enforcers have often used section 182 to harass innocent members of the public. Honorable Speaker, offenses like loitering, when I look at the dictionary in the Oxford, it is that you're just moving around without a purpose. Honorable Speaker, there is a right under our Constitution for every Kenyan has a right of movement. And so for whatever time, at whatever place, as long as, of course, you have no bad intention. But you find the police, if you are arrested by a police or if they want to mop up some people out of an urban area, the offenses that are normally rushed to this section. Statement on the delegation of legislative powers and limitation on fundamental rights and freedom. And that is basically what, Madam Speaker, I'm moving this. I had moved this same amendment in the 12th Parliament, but of course it lapsed before it had gotten to the point of where it was going to get the accent by the President. Of course, the bill has nothing to do with county governments, Honorable Speaker, but it's also a money bill. By the meaning of Article 114 of the Constitution. Honorable Chair, you know, there is some little money. If you look at all those offenses which are under Section 182, the maximum fine is a month, a jail term of a month, or a fine of 100 Kenya shillings. But Honorable Speaker, you find if I am arrested and the police have no charge against me and they put loitering, and I go before a judge, we are surprised that some of these judges have gone to an extent of even fining, giving a fine of up to between 5,000 to 10,000. Yet the law stipulates very clearly how much is the maximum cash penalty that a person is supposed to be charged. From the report before, because I went before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, it is that when I presented my amendment, it attracted 9 memorandums from the public and different stakeholders, some of whom are the judiciary, the human rights, IPOA, the National Police Service, the Attorney General, LSK, Urai Trust, and so many others. And to be honest, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the submissions, other than the National Police Service, all the others did support. And the National Police Service are supporting this because they know what they do. It is for purposes only meant for harassing innocent Kenyans, for purposes of one of the issues that they normally use all the time, Honorable Speaker, is that I have so many matatu terminals. And then because of toting, they call it toting, that if you're advertising for a particular transportation circle or company within the stage, just like what other people do using, you know, those big microphones and other advertisement modes, my people are arrested and they're taken to court for toting. And yet, he's doing nothing other than say, this vehicle is headed to Nairobi. Please board this vehicle instead of the other. So these are some of the issues that Honorable Speaker, that I moved this amendment to be able to address particularly to address the unconstitutionality of these offenses in the penal code, Honorable Speaker. So I don't want to dwell so much on this, but I just want to say that, yes, the police have been using this to harass the public and infringe on the fundamental human rights and freedom. Honorable Speaker, I like what a few of, particularly the judiciary and one of the stakeholders put. And he said that petty offenses, instead of arresting, what we need to do as a country is to try and address the root cause of poverty and other forms of marginalization rather than criminalizing activities that are caused by poverty and marginalization. Honorable Speaker, the proposal seeks that these petty offenses, and of course they are just in line with people trying to earn a living out of what they are doing. So I beg, Honorable Speaker, that as we look at this amendment, I ask my colleagues to look at it seriously, that it's an unconstitutional, first of all, but at the same time, it is affecting that very important fundamental human rights and freedom of Kenyans who are just out there trying to earn a living. So without much ado, Honorable Speaker, it's a small amendment that I seek my colleagues to support me so that it doesn't not only happen in my constituency as an urban place, it happens almost everywhere where and I remember when I once was a mayor in one of the cities in this country, and most of the time when we didn't have money, we would use this to collect money. And we would say, go and bring as many as you can. It doesn't matter. Even if I'm going to arrest you as a member of parliament, you're passing, utaenda kujitetea kwa judge. So we used to